Hello, how are you? This is the Be a Better Person. And today, and according to the book The Intellectual Life, Sertilanges divided readings into 4 basic types, which are rest reading, which are easy readings like weekly magazines, basic internet articles, or literary works with less depth. Reference readings, which are dictionaries, manuals, or reference books. Meditation readings, which are works that serve as inspiration, such as religious readings or poetry. Formative readings, which are the core books I discuss here, those that offer practical tools for us to become better people. Looking at these 4 groups, we can see that 2 of them, rest and meditation readings, are readings where we don't need to rationally retain the information. Rest reading is a form of entertainment, while meditation reading is meant to fill our spirit with wisdom, not our brain with knowledge. So, for the purpose of this video, we'll focus only on the other 2, which are reference and formative readings. The information in reference books is more academic. It's less directly applicable to our lives, but you still need to know these things, whether for an exam or simply as a factual basis for an argument. Formative books go a bit further. They have a much higher practical level, so for this type of book, we need additional techniques to remember what we read. So, we'll start with the general techniques and finish with the special ones. The first technique is called pre-reading, which is to give a general overview of the book, starting with the table of contents, to get a global idea of what the book is about, then flip through chapter by chapter to basically understand how the book is structured and try to follow the author's thought process. If the book has a summary or targeted questions at the end of the chapters, it's worth spending a bit more time there, because theoretically, that's where the most important concepts will be concentrated. Many people might think it's silly to do all this before reading, but I can categorically state that this technique is the most important of all the techniques I'll mention in this video, as it forms the strong foundation for a good reading. Doing pre-reading has the effect of preparing your brain to assimilate and choose the most important information more easily when you're actually reading the book. And this isn't done only in reading. From now on, start noticing movies. They always set the scene so you don't feel lost. This setting in reading, called pre-reading, is essential for better understanding the book. The second technique is about highlighting important parts of the book, but I don't mean that you should take a highlighter and mark everything you want. I myself, besides using 2 colors of highlighters, also use post-its and a pen. And with the pen, I make different marks, like underlining, circling important phrases, and referencing other parts of the book or other books. Additionally, there's something else important to say. People have the habit of highlighting the text while reading, but what I want to propose here is different. Only highlight the text after the author's entire line of reasoning has been completed. And doing this is essential for 2 big reasons. It prevents you from over-highlighting and ensures that you've understood the entire reasoning first. Many times, authors use dialectics, that is, the counterposition of ideas, to demonstrate what they want. So if we start highlighting before the reasoning is complete, we'll be highlighting things that didn't deserve to be highlighted. You need to understand where the author wanted to go before making a good highlight. Now, the third technique, which is a continuation of the second, is about notes. Besides highlighting, it's important that you make notes about how you understood the text, your doubts, or any compliment you could add to the book. This technique is extremely important because it effectively makes you study actively, and it's active study that will make you remember what you read or study. You can do this on a separate sheet of paper, or, if the book is yours, write in your own book, something I've been doing lately. This is the way I've found to have a conversation with the author. Many times, he answers me later in the book, but in some cases, it will be other authors with their other books, or my own reflection, that will bring the answers I seek. From notes, something a bit more complex follows, which is summarizing the book's ideas. At the end of each chapter, make a brief summary of what you read and understood. If you don't want to write, Make an audio note for yourself about the important parts, what you understood, and what you learned from reading that chapter or book. The good thing is that you can later go back to the summaries and recall what you read. Lastly, but certainly not least, in fact, what I consider the most important is to seek more information on the subject of the book you're reading. This, besides giving you a deeper knowledge of the subject, since you'll be drawing from various sources, will also increase your level of interest in the subject, which is where everyone should want to reach. Think with me. Take two subjects, one that interests you and one that doesn't. For example, for me, the subjects could be the study of the human mind on one side and, let's use as an example, lipsticks on the other. Since I love the subject of human mind, it's obvious that I'll seek, learn, and remember much more easily about this subject. Whereas, 30 minutes after hearing something about a topic that doesn't interest me, I'll have already forgotten half of what I learned. This applies to any human being. The key to understanding is interest. And in addition to all these techniques, there's something I haven't mentioned yet, but it should be clear to all of you. Whenever possible, it's necessary to practice what you learned in the book. In theory, everything works clearly. Nothing goes wrong, but it's in practice that we put our knowledge to the test, and you'll see that things are usually a bit more complicated than they seem. At that moment, you need to have humility to go back to the books, learn a little more, and then go back to testing, repeating this cycle until the book's knowledge is truly absorbed by you. And here we go. I think we've covered a lot of information in this video. If you didn't take any notes, it's very likely that you'll need to revisit it to remember what you saw here. But I still want to leave you with one more tip, which I don't remember if I read somewhere or if I accidentally tried and it worked, but here it is. Right after you've read or studied a lot, when your brain tells you that it's had enough of information, that moment when nothing else fits in your head, at that moment, leave where you are without your phone or any other form of distraction and go for a walk, practice some sport or workout. Or if you don't want to do any sports, just sit somewhere without doing, literally, anything that uses your brain. We tend to think that the more information, the better. But, in a way that scientists still can't fully explain, our brain also needs rest. We need to distance ourselves a bit from knowledge so that it can stick with us longer. That's why many times we keep banging our heads trying to solve a problem, and after giving up and going to sleep, we wake up the next day with the solution ready. It's also why many of the best ideas we have come to us while showering, when we're literally not thinking about anything objectively. And these were the techniques and tips for you to remember what you read and study. I'll see you in the next video, and be a better person.